An overview of Utopia of the Seas. Royal calls it the world's biggest weekend. So we're going to go over some things that we experienced when we sailed on Utopia of the Seas.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about some of the things we've seen on YouTube, on the on different creators that have done different things, but we did not see everything they saw. Start out with the embarkation. It was awesome for us. I mean, we flew through that.
Yeah, embarkation. That's one thing we've always said on most of our reviews for any of the royal cruises we've gone on. Embarkation is smooth, it's efficient. You get in and you're on the ship usually within 10 to 15 minutes. And it was probably about 10 minutes for us to get on the ship. It was that quick. And debarkation, same thing. Very smooth, very efficient. They know how to get people into groups. So if you have an early flight to catch, you can certainly make arrangements to make sure that you're off the cruise ship as early as possible. And if you want to stay a little bit later, you can probably make arrangements. But usually, Royal has everybody off their ships by 9 o'clock in the morning.
Right. And the only hang up would be if with the new facial recognition software that the United States government has, it's very quick to get off the ship. If you have just a birth certificate and a driver's license, yes, you have to do the regular check. But just getting off and walking up to the line and saying, okay, it's green, let's go.
Right.
And it was nice.
That's for anyone with a passport. So we would definitely recommend having a passport to sail on a cruise, even though if you're leaving from a port in the United States and returning to the United States, you can cruise with just a birth certificate and a photo ID. But we highly recommend the passport because it does make things much more quick and efficient.
Yeah. And the next thing we're going to talk about is sail away. We've heard different people on YouTube talking about how it wasn't good for children to be around the sail away party upstairs by the pool. I'm going to show video footage here. I don't see anything wrong with it. And they were on the same cruise we were. So, Kat, what's your feelings on this?
I don't think there was anything inappropriate. I mean, Royal pretty much keeps most of their sail away parties family friendly. They try and have a little bit for everyone. So it definitely was not an adult oriented sail away. So we want to make sure that anyone watching this video, if you are a family and you're going to sail with children, it's appropriate. And just because they call it this the world's greatest weekend, some people are interpreting that as it's a party ship and it's just going to be party all weekend. Certainly you can do that, but it is family friendly. It is couple friendly. You know, if you're going without your kids and you want to just rest and relax. I mean, we saw all age groups. We had families, we had, couples that were there without children, younger couples, middle-aged couples, and then even, some seniors. And we had a bunch of seniors that we ended up making friends with on our cruise. And let me tell you, they were had more energy than we did.
and they partied hardy.
And they partied, yeah.
The villages, okay?
Yeah.
So they had a good time.
It's a lot of fun. So if you watch a video and they're saying, oh, it's party oriented, and that it's not appropriate for children, no, we were on the second sailing and there were lots of families and it was not inappropriate at all.
Yeah, the next thing, and Kat had problems with this, getting reservations on the Royal app. It was tough, huh?
Yes, for some reason, I had problems with the Royal app working appropriately for me. We bought the internet package, but we only bought it for one device. We put it on Mike's device, and he had no problems with the Royal app. I, for some reason, had problems being able to see what we had reservations for as far as dinner or if we were going to a show. I couldn't see it on my app, but Mike could see it on his app. I would have to close everything out or shut my phone off, turn it back on, and then the app would come up. So it's hit or miss, I think, and it may have something to do with whether or not you buy a Wi-Fi package. But it should work regardless of whether or not you have a Wi-Fi package. You connect onto their Wi-Fi, and it should give you the ability to see everything in the app.
But we had a hard time making reservations even for the diving show and everything else. The only reservation we got was for the singing and dancing, was the only piece that we got
Right.
reservations for. But everything else, all the restaurants, everything, we had to literally go the day of embarkation and go to the restaurants and deal with them when we got on the ship. So that was a little bit disappointing. Let's go on to the room. The bed is lower to the ground than normal royal beds are. So
Yes.
you could not fit a full suitcase under the bed.
So there's a link in our description of the room tour that we did for Utopia in the balcony cabin that we were in. And we did not attempt to put the suitcase under the bed at that time. And I believe that we said the suitcase will fit under there. Well, lo and behold, we tried after we had shot the video and it didn't fit. So you actually have to open the suitcase and slide it in that way in order for it to fit under the bed. Don't know why they lowered the beds. It's not like any other royal ship that we've ever been on where we've had a problem with getting a full-size suitcase underneath the bed.
Yeah, and the beds were good. The pillows weren't that great, but the bed was good.
Right. And I'm sure because, it's a new ship, so the mattresses are not worn out. But the room, it was phenomenal. All royal rooms are, pretty standard in their features, and we enjoyed it tremendously.
Yeah. Let's go on to the fun part, the food. That was unbelievable. Almost every restaurant we went to, it was great.
Yes. The food was outstanding on Utopia. Whoever the executive chef is on the ship, outstanding. He did an excellent job. Every single restaurant that we ate in, the meals were really well done. We ate in 2 specialty dining restaurants. We had dinner in the Mason Jar on the first night of our sailing, and that was outstanding. That was our first time we had ever experienced Mason Jar, and it was phenomenal. The restaurant itself, surprisingly,
Yes.
was not crowded. We really thought that we would have an issue getting into some of the specialty dining, especially because it's, inaugural sailing. It's a newer ship that people would want to try the specialty dining out. But I have to tell you, when we went on the first night, there were maybe 3 or 4 tables. And by the time our dinner was over, we were the last table in the restaurant. So it was not crowded at all. Definitely try the Mason Jar. And on sea days in the Mason Jar, they do have brunch, which is supposed to be phenomenal. We did not get a chance to do the brunch, but the next time we sail on a vessel that has the Mason Jar, we're definitely going to book the brunch. And it looked really good.
Yeah, it was very good. Mm-hmm. And the main dining room we couldn't believe how good it was. Mm-hmm. I mean, everything came out piping hot. And when we walked in, the waiter and assistant waiter came up to him. Oh, did you just, because they just had the show where they sing and dance and all around the restaurant. So they wanted to make sure that we saw the show. Very proud of the restaurant. But the food was good.
Yeah, in the main dining room. And just from our previous sailings, we had not a bad experience in the main dining room, but we felt that the food in the main dining room just was not as good as it used to be. So we started going to a lot of the specialty restaurants. And then when we would book junior suites, if we were on a ship that had coastal kitchen, we would tend to eat dinner in Coastal Kitchen, and that's a little bit of an elevated dining experience. So it had been a while since we experienced the main dining room, and I have to tell you, it was fantastic. Like Mike said, the food was really hot. The selection was excellent. The attention to detail in the main dining room was beyond compare to the way it had been, in previous years when we had been in the main dining room. So definitely, you will not go hungry on Utopia, and you will have a good meal. Two of the other restaurants that we did try, we tried 150 Central Park, and it was good, but compared to 150 Central Park on, I believe it was Oasis, we dined there. I think it was better on Oasis than it was on Utopia. Um, you know, it was a good meal, but I wouldn't say it was exceptional. And then we did one night in the Solarium Bistro for dinner, and that was phenomenal. And that is also included in your fare. So that's not an extra cost. Highly recommend it. It's healthier choices. And there's a panoramic view of the sea. If you go early enough and it's not too dark out, you can see the ocean, you can see the sunset. It's really nice. Definitely recommend
That
it.
to me is almost like a specialty restaurant, to be honest with you. The food that was there was cooked well. It was
Yes.
a buffet style, and it was good. I
Mhm.
mean, they had my watermelon there with the
Yes. I turned Mike onto this watermelon salad with feta cheese and a balsamic vinaigrette. And now he's obsessed with it. Anywhere we go, if they have it, he has to order it.
but I mean, it was
It was
just
good.
good. It was very good things, very very good things. And the only disappointing was the roast beef sandwich in Central Park.
Yeah.
I
In
took
Park
one,
Cafe. Yeah.
had one bite, and it was gone. I just couldn't eat it. It was horrible. Wasn't tender. It was just bad. So I ended up getting a salad. But that was the only disappointing part of the whole cruise with the food.
Mm-hmm. And it may have been that particular roast beef that came out. It was, I think, a little on the fattier side, and it was very, very raw.
Yeah. Well, I like it that way.
The Royal Railways.
Oh yes.
So that's their newest specialty restaurant, and it's only on Utopia of the Seas. And this is a interactive dining experience where you enter a rail car, you have actors, there's a storyline. Someone, I believe, is stealing money or tries to steal money. It's a cowboys kind of Wild West theme. And we could not book that before we got on the cruise. When they opened up, that you could make reservations for dining, that was not a choice to purchase on the app or on the website. So we could not purchase it. So we knew that they probably were limiting it because it was a new ship to in person making reservations. So as soon as we got on the ship, we went right to Royal Railways, even before we did our muster and all of that. We were second in line behind a couple that were Pinnacle. And
They must, let me just say, if they told them that they were Pinnacle 10 times.
so we ended up on the waiting list and we did not get in. So we'll try next time we go on Utopia. But there's only two dining times each night for the Royal Railways, and each seating only holds 48, a total of 96 passengers per night. So it's very, very limited. So over a 4-night cruise, you're talking only about 400 passengers that are going to be able to get in that. With a ship of 6,000 people, you can see the odds of you being able to get in. So if that is something that you definitely have your heart set on, two words of advice from us, just because been there, done that. Try and get onto the ship as early as possible. So we have seen Royal allowing passengers to get on the ship as early as like 10:30 in the morning. We usually get on about 11. So try and get on as early as possible. Immediately go to the Royal Railways, which is, I believe, on deck 4 aft, and try and make your reservations. And if you can't, definitely put yourself on the wait list.
Yeah. Let's go on to the elevators. We're seeing a lot of people criticizing the elevators on Utopia. We did not have a problem. The only time I saw a problem was with the 7-year-old girl, and she was out there with her mother, and she decided to hit every button because outside of there, you tell what floor you're going on to. So she hit every button
Right.
on the controller. So, but who knows?
I mean, it's the same thing as if you get on the elevator and a child pushes every button on the inside. It's something that you just have to deal with, and hopefully parents deal with that in the right way. But the smart elevators are nice. You just hit the floor that you want to go to. It'll tell you what elevator will be called for you to get on. So they letter the elevators like A, B, C, D, E, and then you'll hit, say, deck number 6. It'll tell you elevator B. So then you just wait for elevator B to call. Once it opens, then you get in. It'll take you directly to deck 6. The only thing we did experience with Utopia compared to Icon is there were some times where the elevator
Yeah.
was crowded. So you have no idea how many people are inside the elevator when it calls to your floor. Again, same thing as just pushing the up or down button. So sometimes you'll have to wait and push the button again. But overall, we love the smart elevators. They're quick. I think they're easier to deal with, and actually, I don't think the wait times are
No.
as long with the smart elevators.
Yeah, I think so as well. The entertainment wise, the diving show, cat, it was the best.
I think the Aqua Show for Utopia is probably the best in the fleet. It's an 80s theme, and it was just spectacular. We really, really enjoyed it. And on Utopia, the Aqua Theater again is in the aft of the ship, same as the other Oasis class ships. It's not like Icon where it's in the forward of the ship and inside. This is an outside venue. So for anybody that wants to book, a boardwalk balcony, you will have some view to the Aqua Show from your balcony. But again, it does have that big slide, which will obstruct your view a little bit. But Aqua Show, phenomenal. And then the headline show, not our favorite. We walked out. We tried to
We
give it enough time.
we did give it what, three or we gave it 4 songs.
Mhm.
We really tried, but it wasn't the performers per se. I think it was the choreography and whoever designed the whole thing up. It just
Mhm.
was not very good. I mean, even the songs that they were performing were good, but when whoever composed them, it was
The way
just
they mixed them.
it was bad.
Yeah. So Royal Caribbean is getting away from having, big headline shows such as Mamma Mia, Cats, Grease, and The Wizard of Oz. That's their last big production that they are paying royalties for. Moving forward, from what we hear from the news that we read, is that Royal Caribbean is not looking to pay royalties for these big headline shows, and they're going back to making their own sort of entertainment variety show. So a lot of people enjoyed the show. It just was not our cup of tea. So we didn't, stay for the whole thing. But people that did stay, they really enjoyed it. So that's going to be your call whether or not you enjoy it.
And the interesting thing, we did not make it. We couldn't get reservations for the ice show, but we didn't make it there. We didn't think they didn't even have it on the app at that time. But the reason
Right.
we found out, we saw people, some kids running around with their ice skates, which we had never seen before. They allowed them to bring their ice skates on board to be able to go ice skating. And it's like, hey, Kat, they have ice skates, so it must be.
Free skate, they have every day at different times during the day. Closed, of course, when you're in port, but later on when you leave port, they'll open up for a few hours. And it's a half an hour free skate. So it's a great activity for anyone who loves to ice skate. Great activity, you know, if you want to take your kids. I believe they have the little stabilizers for children if they're just learning how to skate. So it's a lot of fun. And yeah, unfortunately, we didn't get to see the ice shows, and we've seen them previously on other ships, and they're fantastic. But we just didn't get to see it
Yeah, and they
on
do
Utopia.
supply skates there. It's not like you have to bring your own skates.
Yes.
I didn't want to imply that. But the one thing about the whole ship was, and this is interesting, we've been on a lot of ships, but this ship seemed very, very crowded. I mean, really crowded. And usually we don't have a problem even on, embarkation day, you'll get a lot of people running around. But it just seemed like there were a lot of people on the ship.
It did. It had a feeling, and I think we were surprised because like Mike's saying, usually on embarkation day, sail away, it's very crowded in the common areas until you set sail. And then people will go, they'll get ready for dinner, and then the crowds will dissipate into different venues. But the whole cruise, we were on the 4-night cruise, the whole time we seemed to encounter crowds everywhere. The pool deck seemed crowded. The promenade seemed crowded. The casino, when we were in the casino, it was crowded every night. So it was a little bit more than what we see on other sailings and on other ships, and even surprisingly on Icon. You know, we thought Icon was going to be
Yeah.
very crowded. Now, we did the inaugural sailing, so it was not at capacity, but it was still about the same
Yeah.
number of passengers that we had on Utopia. So roughly around 6,000 passengers. And it was not crowded at all on Icon throughout the week. Whereas on Utopia, you know, we kept encountering these crowded areas.
But the interesting thing was the paid restaurants were empty. I mean, they even
Right.
all the restaurants that you had to pay for, other than we had lunch there one day, was the buffet. Everything else was not a lot of people.
We're going to put links down below. We'll have our cabin tour. We're going to put our casino tour down below. Please like and subscribe and share this video. And we're going to have some vlogs coming very, very soon from a cruise that we'll be going on pretty soon.
Cat and Mike, the ship set sail on a journey that'll never fail. With the wind in the head